Welcome to Real Talk, inside the business of entertainment, where we talk about the current state and future of the entertainment industry with the people who power it. I'm Anne Kennedy McGuire, an entertainment partner here at Loeb Loeb. Today, I'm very excited to speak with Cory Greenberg. She's the Vice President and Associate General Counsel, Business and Legal Affairs at Tubi, about the evolution of streaming and of streaming business models. For the record, I've known Cory for many moons. We discussed before this how long it is, but we won't go into that. Several jobs before this one. But to kick us off, Cory, tell us more about your role at Tubi.
Sure. At Tubi, I help support all of our Tubi originals and all of our creator program content. So it's a very exciting, dynamic time to be at Tubi working with those groups.
Yeah. And it's an exciting time to be at Tubi because they're doing a lot of different things. Well, which we'll get into in a minute. But first, as we ask all of our guests, what's your hot take on something that's happening in the industry now?
This is not the Tubi hot take, but my personal hot take is on AI. And I feel like there's a lot of knee-jerk reactions in both directions. Everything's going to be AI. AI is awesome. Oh no, stay away from AI. We're all really scared of it. And I think there's more to be revealed. And I think that folks should play with the tools and see how they work for them and see where they work well and what the limitations are. And the more you know about the tools, I think the more you can come up with an opinion. There's a lot of knee-jerk reactions without understanding what the tools can do.
Yes, definitely. I think it's interesting because to your point, I would say like even a couple months ago, all the networks we work with were like, don't use it, we don't want to use it. And now every network is like, here's our list of like guidelines for which tools to use and how to use them. And here's our rules for how to contract with them. So I think we are getting to a point where people are understanding that we're going to have to do something with them and we just need to figure out and navigate a coherent way forward and using them in our creative businesses.
No, well, and our personal and our actual tasks at work too. One of the fun things about being at Tubi, which is a technology company as well as a content company, is we are all tasked with learning AI, learning the tools and figuring out ways that we can be more efficient using them, whether you're in finance or legal or content or creator or the ad tech folks where it would seem more natural.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. We've been playing around a lot with it as well. So you mentioned it when you talked about it, but a lot of these streaming services are leaning into originals, but I feel like Tubi's been leaning in harder than most. So tell us about what you're seeing in terms of that strategy and how audiences are responding to that kind of content.
Thank you, Anne. Tubi is about fueling fandoms. We have over 100 million monthly active users, and originals are a key part of that strategy. So folks can have more content in their rabbit holes. We've talked a lot about our rabbit holes. Currently, we have a couple originals or a bunch of original strategies that I'm really excited about. To accompany World Cup, we have a show called The Other Football, which is kind of a podcast, talk show, vodcast with Gronk and Jameis Winston, where they are football players talking about the other football with really, really fun guests. First episode, Brendan Hunt was a guest, for example, and we're dropping episodes weekly for that.
I was saying before we were talking that I hope that I can learn about the other football because my son's played soccer for many years and I still don't know what offsides is. And I just dream of a day where I will scream it and it will actually be the right call.
These are weekly episodes and it's going to be super fun. It already is super fun.
Gronk is always a good character.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
can't go wrong with that.
And then we're continuing with our kind of what we call our YA slate, where we're leaning into that fandom, which is a massive fandom across all age groups.
Oh, yes. I love a good YA. Come on.
So our next one launching in July is Summer's Last Resort with Sophia Bush and Jerry O'Connell. And so that's early July. And then that's followed by, we have Buzzkill, which is with Sienna Agukong and Brett Bassinger. Sienna, you might know from Sidelined. And then we have Remember Me, which is with Charlie Gillespie, also from Sidelined, and Brett Bassinger. So you have some of the same characters, some of the same actors in different roles. Game On, also coming up soon. And then something that's very close to my heart because I worked on all three of them, Sideline 3. So Noah and Sienna and Charlie all back. to see what will happen in this love triangle.
Well, I think it's interesting how there's a lot of, like you were saying, podcast, we're sort of mixing genres, which we talked about on a different episode of the podcast, the line between a podcast and a talk show and a TV show and where that even is anymore, because aren't they all like basically talk shows? Sometimes you see the microphone and sometimes you don't. Is that the only difference? But I think it's cool that Tubi's able to mix genres and sort of play around with that because of the flexibility of the platform. Do you feel like that has influenced what they're able to do and the kind of content you guys are able to create?
Oh, absolutely. I think our entire content catalog is, I think, over 300,000 pieces of content. So we have the largest content library of any streaming platform. And when you combine that with the technology first aspect of our company as well, and really focused on the user experience, the originals really help round that out. And so if someone's interested in one type of show, then they can continue to see others and others that are related to it. So I think, again, when we talked about fueling fandoms and going down rabbit holes, and Tubi's really about giving the world all the world's stories for free. So that's the other kind of key part to Tubi compared to all the other streaming platforms is we're free. We've always been free. 95% of our viewing is video on demand. We're meeting people where they want to be. We have 58%, I think, are Gen Z and millennials.
That's amazing. Now, what do you feel like they're doing to reach that audience in a way that YouTube doesn't, or the crop up of a million different fast channels and all other kinds of OTT. I don't know if that's really a thing anymore, but what is Tubi doing to sort of get to them differently?
Yeah, I think in a lot of different ways. I mean, I think our social media team is fire. We recently had a pop-up giving away free merch in LA that lines around the corner.
Wow.
So we have a lot of kind of different ways that we're reaching folk. We also have our new creator program where we have thousands of creator content. So I think it's 30% of our audience might not be on YouTube. So we're helping expand the pie. I think we're really about expanding that pie and helping people come to Tubi, find the content you love, find the content you didn't know you would love, and make it entertaining and delightful.
And it's a bit different from you going from working in more traditional, we call it mainstream channels, to a sort of, like you're saying, a technology first and ad supported company. Is it different lawyering? Is it sort of applying the same skills and changing it up? Or
That's a good question. I think the first thing that was really surprising to me, and you probably found this true in your practice, was I came from a place where it was, what are we going to have on at 8 o'clock on Wednesday in May?
right.
And when you're a streaming platform, it's a different calculus because you're always on and you are concerned about what's launching when and how are you launching, but it's less about the time slot.
Yeah.
So for me, that was a big change. The fun thing about being at Tubi is it's more flexible. I think when you've been at a place where people have been doing the same thing for year after year after year, and you're like, well, this is just how we do it.
Yeah.
At Tubi, we can be like, just even from a contracting standpoint, that's interesting. Let's think about it. And we can pivot a little bit easier. And one of our values is stay nimble, and we really lean into that.
No, I agree. That's the best part of my practice too. It's production companies are always coming up with something crazy that they want to do. And that's what keeps it interesting because you can't just be like, no, that's not what we've done before, so we're not going to do it. You have to just say, okay, well, that's an interesting idea. It might strike me as initially illegal, but let's talk about how we can do it in a way that's not illegal. And maybe that we can actually get this on air. So I think it's fun, to do something that's different. It keeps it interesting. Tubi's working with a lot of creators, and I know you said they created a Creatorverse.
Yes.
So that must be an interesting, also nuance to your work that hadn't been there before. What is that like?
Absolutely. Again, I would not have expected it. It wasn't on my bingo card a year and a couple months ago. And I'm so glad it's there now, though. It gave us the opportunity to really think about how to work with creators from where I sit. We have thousands of creator content on the platform. So when you turn on the platform, and we have different containers is what we call them. There's a Creatorverse container, and it's a way to work with creators who currently have content on YouTube, longer form content already. They're used to making that longer form content. And we bring that content over to Tubi, gives them a new audience. We're also working with those creators to help fund content that will be on Tubi exclusively for a certain period of time. They continue to own the content. It's really to help them grow, kind of give them a path to Hollywood, give them the resources to be able to make more interesting things, yet still maintain the creative control that they want and that they've worked hard to have and to grow. And at the same time, we have a partnership with TikTok, where those are creators that might not be used to long form creative. And so there'll be a certain number of those creators that will come and we'll work with them on longer form content.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think we were talking before about this sort of transition to working with creators, finding a way to partner with creators in a way that's effective for the creators and for the platform. I think a lot of, in years past, many months ago, a lot of the more mainstream platforms had trouble attracting creators because they wanted to own everything. They wanted to be exclusive. They wanted to say you couldn't do certain advertising, you couldn't do certain things. And I think it's a much more innovative approach to say you're going to own it. We'll have some exclusivity on the things that we help you create, but we want you to continue. It only draws more eyeballs to our platform if you have a robust platform of your own. But I think there must be a lot of challenge in going from the short form to the long form because I feel like that's a whole different beast for some of those creators to navigate.
I think a lot of the creators, and we just saw a couple of weeks ago at the box office, some creators and influencers making big bucks at the box office.
Yes, true.
I think a lot of them have already wanted to be doing this kind of work. Even 20 minutes is long form ish, right? It's the going from the 1 or 2 minute to the longer content. I think the Tubi philosophy of we want to support creators in their endeavors and we want to support our viewers in being able to see all the world stories and to fuel their fandoms, and working with the creators in this way kind of helps both.
And do you find the containers help with sort of the findability issue with the content? Or is it sort of you're down a fandom rabbit hole and if I, like your fandom and really into Sidelined, can I find all of the content about that fairly easily on the platform? How does it help creators with that part of it?
Sure. I think, yes, there's the Creatorverse where folks can just go in and watch explore the content that's labeled creator content. But we also have really excellent machine learning. We started as a tech company years ago, and the engineering product piece of it really helps the user experience. So if they're interested in horror, they'll be introduced to other content that is similar. And that could be library content, it could be Tubi originals, it could be creator content, because we do have creator content across all genres, just like we have library content across all genres.
It's interesting the nimbleness too. Like we were talking about the F1 show and even the football for other footballs. It's very neat about a platform like that. And the difference from a lot of the other platforms where you can make that decision very quickly and say, hey, the World Cup is coming up. People are going to be interested in soccer. What would be a fun take on that? Or F1 is something that people don't necessarily understand. How can we make that accessible to people?
Yeah, the partnership with Apple's been really great. We have a show called The Fast Lane that's hosted by Michelle Carey. And it's great that we have Formula One on Tubi. How exciting. And it's catering to the audience who might not understand, who might be a fan or not totally understand. So it's a fun show.
That's very cool. I don't understand fully, so I'll have to tune in. So as a lawyer, when you're embracing this nimbleness of the creators, I feel like that's a different than you're used to too. You're sort of used to sideline talent or other talent that knows the business and understands the expectations. How has it been to work with creators and sort of stretch those muscles to work with people who aren't necessarily used to all of the requirements or all of the expectations sometimes of large form or long form content?
It's been interesting, and we really try to be not just supportive and understanding. It was all new templates for us from a legal point of view.
Sure.
And then we function the way the rest of Tubi functions, which is you gather the data, you look at the data, and then you pivot to and refine based on the data. So based on negotiations, based on where we're going, based on, as a company, we made kind of pivot slightly about what we're asking for, what we need, how is this working. So we just embrace being nimble. We have really amazing colleagues and stakeholders. And the nice thing about Tubi is we are all rowing the boat in the same direction and we talk to each other a lot. And because we're still smallish as far as platforms are concerned.
And then, do you see more crossover between formats like film and TV and digital podcasts, but even like book talk on TikTok? You've seen a lot of immersive theater things, and you got to pop up with merchandise.
Yeah.
I love that. So you feel like there's more of that happening, and there's more people wanting to experience the Tubi brand and the content on Tubi in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the merch sold out and then we had a pop up, and again, social media team on fire. Love them. And we were talking about podcasts. We just announced an agreement with Sirius, where we're going to have a Sirius podcast on Tubi. And it's all part of this fueling the fandom. So there are folks who want to see that content and who want to have access to that. So you can come to Tubi and listen to or watch a podcast, and then you can go watch a TV show, and you can go watch a movie, and you can watch a Tubi original. So it's a really nice ecosystem. And we do try to keep our ad load pretty light. It's on the lighter side of most streaming platforms. And that's been my personal experience from watching Tubi and watching other streamers as well.
Yeah, that's impressive though, since you're ad supported, to be able to get that sort of ad load to not be oppressive for the user
For sure.
experience.
Yeah, no, well, it's all about the user and bringing the world stories. And I think because we are free, it's not a free tier. We're free. We're really accessible. There's no barrier to entry. Anybody can come and watch anything they'd like on Tubi at no cost. And I think that's kind of what makes it special.
And to make it profitable doing that, because you guys have been very successful.
We've had 3 quarters of profitability in a row.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Especially in this world. That's very impressive. All right. So now, as you said before, if we really could read the glass ball and see the future, we would probably have different jobs.
Yes.
But what are you seeing in terms of shifts in the industry? Or we've talked about a lot of them in terms of Creatorverse and the mixing of genres, but is there anything else you're excited about or looking forward to?
I think as much as it is a stressful time in the media landscape, I think it's also an exciting time with lots of opportunities. And years ago, it was like, oh, anybody can make content, right? It was very hard to make content. Now it's much easier to make content. I'm optimistic because I think at our core, humans want storytelling, and that's kind of what makes us human. I'm excited. I feel very fortunate to be at Tubi, where we really center that telling the world stories and having it be free and being there for folks. I don't really have a crystal ball. I think it's going to be hard to imagine what comes next, but I think at our core, storytelling is really important.
No, I do think you're well positioned because I think a lot of places are struggling with making the transition that Tubi's already sort of built upon. So it's a nice place to be to see all of that evolve and making nimble decisions going forward. Well, that's a wrap on this episode of Real Talk Inside the Business of Entertainment. Thank you so much, Cory, for coming here and joining me today. And to all of you for tuning in. We'll be back with more behind the scenes insights and candid conversations with the people shaping the industry. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more. Until next time, thanks for listening.